You wake up one morning and you have no choice, no debate, no opt-out. Someone, the universe, God, a really passive-aggressive life coach, has decided that you are going to become the greatest version of yourself, whether you like it or not. Peak physical condition, sharp mind, unshakable discipline, the whole package. Sounds incredible, right? Like something you'd actually want? Except, and this is the part nobody talks about, you didn't ask for it. And that small detail is about to ruin absolutely everything. For real, bro, here, where we say what no one else will. So before you get excited, I need you to hold that feeling for a second. Because what we're actually about to unpack is not a motivational story. It's something much weirder. It's the story of what happens to a person when greatness is no longer optional. When the pressure to become the best version of yourself stops being a choice and becomes a condition of your existence. And spoiler, it doesn't go the way any self-help book told you it would. Part 1. The upgrade you never voted for. Picture this. You're living your regular life. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're eating cereal at 2 p.m. watching the 4th episode of something you don't even like, wearing a shirt you've had since 2016, and genuinely cannot remember the last time you left the house for a reason that wasn't food. And then, suddenly, something shifts. It could be one moment, one conversation, one thing someone said to you that hit different at the exact wrong time. Or maybe it's an injury that strips everything away. Or a breakup that burns your old life to the ground so efficiently that you look at the ashes and think, okay, well, I literally have nothing left to protect. And that's when it starts. You don't choose greatness. You get cornered into it. And at first, bro, it feels electric. You start waking up earlier. You start reading. You start training. You look in the mirror one day and notice something changed, and you can't tell if it's your body or just your face. Because for the first time in a long time, you look like someone who has a plan. The people around you start acting different, a little more respectful, a little more curious, a little more suspicious. Because when you start changing, the people who knew the old you don't know how to compute it. And here's the first thing nobody tells you about being forced into greatness. The moment you start winning, you stop being relatable. People used to love you because you were a mess like them. You were funny about it. You were down bad together. That was the bond. And now you're out here drinking water at 6 a.m. and suddenly you're the weird one. Part 2. The part where it feels amazing, right before it doesn't. The hidden truth of part 1 is this. Greatness doesn't just change you. It changes your address. You move to a neighborhood most people never visit, and the rent is paid in isolation. But wait. Because that's just the beginning of what this actually costs you. Let's be honest, the middle part slaps. You're in the best shape of your life. Your brain is sharp. You're executing on things. You're becoming someone who actually does what they said they were going to do, which, if you grew up anything like I did, is basically a superpower. Because most people announce plans and then quietly never mention them again. You start getting results, real ones. And the feeling that comes with that is something legitimately hard to describe. It's not happiness exactly. It's more like clarity, like the static in your head got turned down. Like you finally feel like you're running on the right operating system. And you become addicted to that feeling, which sounds healthy, except addiction is addiction regardless of what it's pointed at. And here's where the trap quietly opens. You start to optimize everything. Sleep, diet, time, relationships. And that word, optimize, sounds clinical when I say it out loud, but that's exactly what it feels like from the inside. You start looking at every part of your life through the lens of, is this making me better? Or is it making me slower? And at first, cutting the bad stuff feels obvious. You stop wasting time on things that drain you. Fair enough. But then you start cutting the good stuff too. The late nights with friends that aren't productive. The random conversations that don't add value. The silly hobbies you used to love that have no ROI. You don't notice it happening because every single individual cut makes sense. But zoom out. You've quietly turned yourself into a machine. A very impressive machine that is deeply, profoundly lonely in a way you can't even articulate because you're too disciplined to sit with feelings long enough to name them. The thing helping you is also hollowing you out. And here's the part that's almost too honest. You'll get compliments about it. People will say, wow, you're so focused. You're so driven. You look incredible. And you'll smile and say thank you. And inside you'll feel absolutely nothing, which itself is terrifying because 6 months ago you felt everything and hated it. And now you feel nothing and hate that too. You cannot win. Emotionally speaking, you literally cannot win. Part 3. The identity crisis nobody put on the brochure. Here's the thing about being forced to become the greatest man alive. At some point you achieve enough that the old excuses stop working. And the old excuses were doing a lot of heavy lifting that you didn't appreciate. When you're average, you have a story. I haven't reached my potential yet. I've been going through something. I'm still figuring it out. These aren't just excuses. They're psychological protection. They're the gap between who you are and who you could be, and that gap is actually comfortable. It gives you somewhere to hide. But when you force upgrade yourself into the greatest version of yourself, that gap closes, and suddenly there's nowhere to hide from the question of whether you're happy, because now you can't blame circumstances. You can't blame opportunity. You can't blame your environment or your background or your past, because you already survived all of that and came out the other side stronger. And you realize, with devastating clarity, that achieving everything you thought you wanted does not automatically make you feel like you thought you'd feel. You thought the destination was peace. Turns out the destination is just a different set of questions. Harder one. You spent years becoming the man you wanted to be, and then you meet him and you're like, oh, this is still a person with problems. Who needs things? Who gets tired? Who sometimes wants to sit on a couch and eat terrible food and watch something stupid and feel absolutely nothing? But the greatest man alive isn't supposed to do that. So now you're performing greatness for an audience of 0 while sitting alone in a very clean apartment. And here's the observation that'll make you uncomfortable. Humans were never designed to be optimized. We were designed to be whole, which is messy and contradictory and inefficient. And that messiness, that's not a bug. That's where all the actually good stuff lives. The laughing until you can't breathe. The staying up too late talking about nothing. The completely pointless experiences that somehow become the ones you remember forever. You are now trapped inside something you thought you wanted. Topper 4. The Pris Nobody Quarters You. Okay, real talk, because we've been building to something, and it's uncomfortable, and I need you to actually sit with this one. The greatest men in history. Not just the ones with abs, but the ones who actually changed things. Almost all of them paid something massive. Something they didn't advertise. Einstein couldn't maintain a marriage. Tesla died alone in a hotel room. Muhammad Ali lost years of his health to the sport that made him legend. Steve Jobs reportedly wasn't a great father. These aren't criticisms. They're data points about the actual cost structure of becoming someone extraordinary. And here's the part that messes with your head. They may have chosen right. Their contributions were real. Their legacy is real. But the transaction was real too. So when you're being forced or forcing yourself into becoming the greatest man alive, at some point you have to answer a question nobody asks in the motivational content. Greatest at what? And what are you paying for it? Because the universe doesn't do free upgrades. Every version of yourself that gets stronger in one direction tends to get quieter in another. The guy who becomes unstoppable professionally often becomes emotionally unavailable personally. The man who becomes physically perfect often develops a relationship with his body that stops being healthy the moment it becomes compulsive. The person who becomes relentlessly disciplined often forgets how to rest without guilt. And the funniest, most infuriating part? The self-sabotage isn't dramatic. It's not one big explosion. It's tiny. It's canceling plans because you need to train. It's being half present in conversations because you're already planning tomorrow. It's lying awake replaying decisions not out of guilt, but out of optimization. Trying to identify where you lost 4% efficiency. You're not destroying your life. You're gently, politely, very consistently refusing to live it. You are being the greatest man alive at being unavailable to your own existence. There is one final truth nobody saw coming. Part 5. What greatness was actually about the whole time? Remember the beginning of this video? You woke up and the universe told you, you have no choice. You're becoming the greatest version of yourself. And we spent this whole time exploring why that's complicated. Why it's isolating. Why it's a trap. Why the thing you thought would fix everything creates new everything to fix. But here's the theory. Reveal. And I need you to actually hear this one. Greatness was never about becoming someone. It was always about becoming present to someone. Specifically to yourself. I know, that sounds like a bumper sticker. The reason forced greatness breaks people isn't the discipline. It isn't the sacrifice. It isn't even the loneliness, though that's real. The reason forced greatness breaks people is because they start chasing a version of themselves that exists in the future, permanently. They are always becoming, never arriving. Never sitting down inside their own life and going, yeah, this, right now, this is enough to be here for. The greatest men alive. Not the ones people write books about, but the ones whose kids actually want to call them, whose friends still show up, whose presence in a room makes people feel safer. Those men are not optimized. They are whole. They carry their contradictions openly. They are strong and sometimes uncertain, disciplined and sometimes lazy, ambitious and sometimes completely content to do nothing and feel fine about it. And that's the thing greatness was secretly about the whole time. Not the peak, the wholeness. You started this video thinking we were going to talk about fitness or mindset or some productivity framework. And what we actually landed on is this. The greatest version of you is not a better machine. It's a more honest human. The guy who woke up and got forced into greatness, he's still waking up. The difference is he stopped checking his watch. And here's your callback to the very beginning. Remember when I said you didn't ask for it? The upgrade you never voted for? Turns out the vote was the problem. Because you were waiting for permission to take yourself seriously. The universe just got tired of waiting for you to give it to yourself. Damn. Yeah, drop a comment with the one thing you actually gave up when you started working on yourself. Because I feel like that answer is way more interesting than anything we just said. And I genuinely want to know if I'm the only one who lost my personality somewhere between sets 3 and 4. And if you're still here, which honestly, you clearly have great taste and a very concerning amount of free time, the subscribe button is right there. Not as a button, more as a social contract. You scratch my back, I'll continue saying things nobody else is willing to say. You know where to find it.